Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Well, it's Thursday and I can see the weekend from here. So can you. So we're getting there. And good news for starters. Next week, no quiz or test. I thought I heard a woohoo out there. Yeah. So anyway, well, it's a busy day, so we better get to it. So on the do nows, as far as your homework in your lesson planner, basically it's triple R for test 4. So you have a test number 4. Now, you've already got a red pen out. I suspect we're going to grade worksheet 9F in just a little bit. So we'll go over it as one of the things we're going to do. So if you'll be getting, if you don't have it out, worksheet 9F, and I'm getting it as well, but we're not quite ready to work with it yet. There it is, worksheet 9F, and your red pen. Okay, so anyway, we'll grade it as soon as you get it out. Hey, while you're waiting, make sure you've got in the upper right hand corner, don't even think about turning work in until you have, I know they've got the name over here on the left side, but if you'd still put name, date, period, upper right hand corner. Okay, I said you needed page numbers on this, yeah? So, and you can see when I showed it to you yesterday, there it says, look right there at the top, there it is, page numbers, and the pages that are possibilities, 5 through 9. So, and I have the page numbers for you. Now here's the deal I'm cutting with you. You're going to get a point for the page numbers. So when I ask you for page numbers, if you don't have them, you lose a point. 1 out of 6, what percent is that? 18%. So you're an 82 already on these worksheets. So I don't want you just guessing. That's the whole purpose. Find the correct answer, verify that you found it, and put it in there, right beside the number of the question. Okay, on the first one. Now, by the way, I'm going to give you one freebie page number out of the 10. I'm going to give you one. So one of them, if you don't have it or you're wrong, it's okay. You still get the point. But beyond that, I'll tell you in a little bit. Okay? So here we go. The first one, the moon is Earth's only natural, it's satellite, D as in Delta, page 5. Okay. Number 2, a planet is large enough to have rounded or been rounded by its gravity, B as in Bravo, page 5. Now I don't like that question because here's the assumption in the book. We're next year getting a new science curriculum, and this science curriculum is evolutionary, but I can work with that, so I can deal with that. But the idea here is that when the solar system was hot and liquidy, they sort of formed themselves. Now we know that didn't happen. So, but we'll work with it and go, nah, didn't happen. We'll pretend. We'll play your little game, you evolutionists, even though you don't have any data that is any good, really. All right, number 3. You can match constellations to your location and the season using this is number 3, B as in Bravo star chart, page 6. Page 6. Number 4. Planets appear to move against the background of stars, D as in Delta. Number 4, D as in Delta, page 9. Page 9. Remember, you get one miss and you don't take anything off. Okay. All right, number 5 now. Now on these, I'm giving you a break this time. This is the last time. Pay attention to this. Don't miss this. On these true and false questions in the future, it'll work out good today. Look what it says. If the statement is true, write true. If the statement is false, change the underlying word or words to make the statement true. So you look at the underlying words, and if that's false, then you change the words to make it true. All right, number 5 is false, page 8. The orbit or revolution around the sun, it should say, instead of rotation on its axis, of Earth's orbit around the sun, causes seasonal changes in the constellations you can observe. So if you just had false, today you're getting credit for it. But from now on, you can't just put false. You've got to correct it and change the underlying word to make the statement true. All right, number 6, false should be helium. Stars are made up mainly of hydrogen and helium. That's page 5. Page 5 for number 6. It was page 8 for number 5. Now we're on 7. Number 7 is false as well. Page 6. Different cultures have identified different constellations. If you just had false today, you get credit. Not in the future. Okay, that was page 6. 8 is false. You can see 5 planets from Earth without a telescope. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and not Uranus, but Saturn. Okay, that's page 5. Number 8, page 5. Number 9, false as well. Number 9, the actual motion shouldn't be actual, it should be apparent. The apparent motion of objects in the sky depends on the motions of Earth. It's page 8, so number 9 is false, page 8. Now if you had true, it's totally wrong. Each one is worth half a point and then plus 1 point for the page numbers. Okay, number 10 now. The North Star, you already know this. The brightest object in the night sky beside the moon, what is it? I can't hear you. Venus, yes. Should be Venus. Now if you just had false, today you get credit. Page 9. Number 10 was page 9. Now here's the way you're going to score this. Okay? So you add up first of all, you add up your score and put it over 5. So of the 10 points, each one is worth half a point. What if you missed 1? That's 4.5, 4.5 out of 5. What if you missed 2? Each one is half. 2 times a half is 1 point, 4 out of 5. So make a fraction at the top, number right, over 5. Okay? Then you're going to put plus, and here's the way it works. If you got 5, here's the way it works. 5 of the 10 pages correct, you get half a point. But you miss half, so you're going to take off half a point. If you got all the page numbers except for 1, you get the additional point. Now you've got to have at least 5 of the page numbers to get half a point. So it's 5 plus half a point. And then if you've got 10 or 9, then you get the whole point. So it's 5 plus 1. Okay? Mr. Gearboard will help with that in a little bit if you're not quite sure of the scoring. So your score now over 5 and then plus the page number points. Okay? Make sure your name, date, period is in the upper right hand corner. Pass that in. So in it comes. Okay? So great. Okay. So what's on the test? Well, here's what's on the test. First of all, I'm going to ask you the steps of the scientific method. So the scientific method, review those. Okay. What is the educated guess step? Hypothesis. What's the answer? Conclusion. Okay. What's the question step? The problem. Anyway, study it like that. I'm not going to go over everything on it. Scientific method is on there. How many points? 6 to 8, probably. Okay. So the scientific method. Next, John 1, 1 to 3, and Psalm 139, 13 and 14, plus their meanings. John 1, 1 through 3, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being by Him, and without Him nothing came into being, or nothing was made that has been made. Okay, and there are 4 things said about Jesus in there. He was the Word, He was with the Father, He is eternal, and He made everything. So, and then you had Psalm 139, 13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. I'm the wonderful work, if I ask you, or you are. Okay? Now, the meaning of that is God designed me using, it's a D word, God designed me using DNA. Okay? So that's going to be on there. Hey, you know what I don't understand? In a minute when we go over the test, I don't understand this. Can I show you? So we're going to go over last week's test. Okay? See this? Last week's test. Test 3. Now, not very many people, most people got the verses and the meanings and all that. See this? There are some people who had nothing in these boxes, or almost nothing. I don't understand that. Did I tell you all that was going to be on there? Say yes. Yes, you did. Well then, you've heard of the law of cause and effect, right? Nothing happens by accident. Things are caused to happen in our world. What causes someone to miss all those first points? What causes that? You got it. Didn't study. Didn't review them. So if you missed a bunch of those, you're not going, well, it's not my fault. Yes, you did not study them. So no excuse. So when your parents ask you, hey, how come you got such a low score on that quiz or that test? You can go, just tell them the truth. Didn't study, didn't triple R a number of things. Just saying, be honest with your parents. Okay, I'm going to ask you everything that we've highlighted on here and that we've gone over. So all the different terms, I'm going to ask you. I'm not going over them right now. Satellite, planet, meteor, meteorite, comet, star, constellation. I'm going to ask you all those. Yeah? So I'm going to ask you to, down here below it mentions the Earth's apparent motion. Things look like stars, planets, look like they're moving from east to west. What's actually happening? That's just apparent motion. But it's not real motion. The real cause of that motion is the Earth rotating from west to east. And it makes things look like they're moving east to west. So I'll ask you something about that. I guarantee it. So, and then the 4 planets I've talked about, they're fair game. I can ask you about those. Which one's orange? Mars. Why is it orange? We'll go over that in a minute. What's the biggest? Jupiter. Which one has impressive rings? All the outer planets have rings. Which one has really impressive rings? Saturn. Okay? And which one's super bright? Because it's got a high albedo. Albedo. A-L-B-E-D-O. It reflects a lot of light. A lot of the sunlight that hits it bounces off the thick clouds or the thick atmosphere that it has. So anyway, those 4 planets, I can ask you about those. I probably will ask you about those. So I want to make sure that I plan enough time here really quick. Now, I've already gone over my very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas. That's how you remember the planets in order from the sun out. My Mercury, very Venus, educated Earth, Mother, Mars, just Jupiter, served, Saturn, us, Uranus, 9, Neptune, and then pizzas, Pluto. So, which we'll deal with later. Now, I'm also going to ask you for the Earth's just rights. And I'm going to give you maybe 6 to 8 right now. Can you see that? Earth's just rights. So down below, you're going to put Earth's just rights. And I'm going to show you some of Earth's just rights, because God designed it just right. So here they are. I'm going to give you 6 to 8 right now. So down below you're going to write, don't write just right, just put what I tell you. Distance, the Earth's distance from the sun. Just right. So you could put distance from sun. Okay? Next, the amount of water that the Earth has on it. Doesn't allow it to get too hot. So the amount of water. The Earth is 80% water. Oceans. So 80% water, the amount of water. Okay. Its tilt, just right for seasons. Its mass, how many atoms it's made of. Its gravity, for holding everything down. Its gravity. Its magnetic field, for blocking dangerous radiation from the sun. Magnetic field. You could abbreviate that and just put MAG, mag. Magnetic field. Just right. Okay. Its rotation speed. Just right. If we slowed down, we'd heat up a lot. If we went faster, same issue. Just the right rotation speed. There, it's rotating right now before your eyes. Rotation speed. And its revolution speed around the sun. Rotation and revolution, just right. I think that's 8 so far. Okay. So those are Earth's just right. So let me review those really quick. Distance from the sun. Its mass, how many atoms it's made of. Mass determines gravity, so its gravity is just right. Its magnetic field is just right. Amount of water, just right. Tilt, rotation speed, 1,000 miles an hour, and revolution speed, 66,000 miles an hour, 67,000 miles an hour around the sun. If it was going slower, it would be pulled into the sun. If it went faster, it would fly away. Neither would be good things. So there's 8 Earth's just rights right there. Okay. Now, I'm getting there. Here is the test that you took last week. I wanted to just go over a few of the answers just really quick, and then I'm right on schedule. Okay. So anyway, here are the answers. Now, again on test 4, get all these verses right, like this test had. Get them all right. You need to get all those. Those are kind of like easy points. You know they're going to be there. Okay. So number 9 on this was the very tiny germs, virus. They're killed by what medicine? It starts with V. Vaccine. Viruses killed by vaccines. The bigger, not that much bigger, still microscopic germ is bacteria. Bacteria are bigger, killed by antibiotics. Number 11 and 12, I ask you to give me planet pairs, Venus, and then tell what they're like. This one says very reflective and bright, yep. And then Mars, it's orange or rusty. What do SSRs stand for? Stop and smell the roses. What should our attitude be toward SSRs? We should be thankful or grateful, it says in Scripture. And then, why does God give us SSRs? To enjoy them. To enjoy them. What's the major point about the individual organs? You remember you drew the organs in the human body activity. The point is they are just right, size, shape, location, connected to the other organisms. And their just rightness is evidence that God made them. Number 17, Roosevelt Lake on September 1st was 99%. 18 now. The speeds of the Earth, the Sun, the Milky Way galaxy are incredible, and they never run into each other. Remember the speeds of the Earth? It's going 67,000 miles an hour. The Sun was going almost 500,000 miles an hour through the Milky Way, and the Milky Way galaxy is traveling at 1.3 million miles an hour. Okay, what's the point on the speed? Well, God designed them, so their speed is just right, and it's all caused by gravity, the glue of the galaxy. 19, perhaps Galileo did drop the different weighted objects from the Tower of Pisa in Italy. A perfect version of this test, I mentioned it, and a number of people got it right, would have to be drop these objects in where there is no air, a vacuum. A word in the scientific method that means to keep the same, controlled. A synonym for method, procedure. A word in the scientific method that means difference, variable. A step in the scientific method that involves formulating a question, and that would be problem. Scientists make thought out guesses. What do we call that? A hypothesis. Would it be better to do 1 to 3 tests in a science experiment, or many, say 20? Well, the more you have, the more sure you are of your conclusion. The more accurate your conclusion, the more reliable your conclusion is. So that's the answer. More, the 20. Okay, I gave you this little thought out science experiment. You had all these different size light bulbs and attached to different wires and different kinds of metals and different liquids. Well, there's way too many variables that aren't controlled. That was the point that I was getting at. You've got to control all those variables but one. And in 28, the different colors in the hummingbird experiment, the colored backgrounds, was the one variable not controlled. And then 29, which planet is like a mirror? That would be Venus, because of its high reflectivity or its high albedo or the gases that reflect light. Mars has rusty soil, and give me 2 reasons why. Here they are. Well, it's got iron oxide in the soil, and when you hear iron oxide, it's got iron in the soil. It combined with an oxide, so it combined with oxygen, and you also had to have water. So iron, oxygen, and water. So triple R, really hard to get ready for test 4. You should do well because you know what's on the test. So anyway, I will see you to the intro to the test on Happy Aloha Friday. My daughter Laura's coming in for the Magnificent Brain segment, so take a note or 2 as she comes in. I'll see you tomorrow on Happy Aloha Friday.
Welcome again to Your Magnificent Brain, Learning with Laura. Today I wanted to revisit some of the things that we talked about last week. We talked about relaxation techniques when you come into a performance situation in which the chemicals in your body have gotten to a level of anxiety that doesn't really help with performance, that can sometimes lead to anxious feelings and potentially not being able to focus. So talking about that again, just to review, we talked about taking deep, steady breaths. We talked about closing your eyes and just recentering your focus, about ignoring and silencing the stimuli in your environment and focusing on what you're about to do. We talked about positive messaging, about refocusing your brain, telling yourself, I got this, I can do this. Any type of repetition of a positive message that helps you, again, refocus in on what it is you're about to do. Also, reframing. If you're feeling nervous about something, nervousness and excitement feel very similar. So reframe. Tell yourself that you're excited to be able to take on this challenge. Remind yourself that over and over again. Say, I'm excited. Also, taking all of those things together and telling yourself that this feeling that I'm feeling right now, this is to get my mind and my body ready to face this challenge. This is preparing me to take on this challenge. We talked about it in context of taking a test last week, but really using these relaxation methods, using these framing methods, it's useful for really anything that you're doing that's a performance situation in which you need to focus and do something. It could be playing sports. It could be being in a concert, playing an instrument, singing. It could be acting in a musical or a play. It could be giving a speech in speech class, giving an oral presentation on a book in a literature class. It could be getting ready to take a driver test. Any of that, reframing, breathing, refocusing, telling yourself positive messages, all of these things are important. So all of this kind of leads to frame of mind and really putting things in context. The messages you tell yourself, listen to them. Often we have subconscious systems basically running in our brain. We make decisions without actively thinking about it. We have kind of automated reactions within ourselves. That can be very useful. If we're doing something where all of a sudden we have to react and we can't consciously make a decision, having those automatic systems in place are important. But there are times in which those automatic systems, which are there to protect us, can sometimes actually be detrimental, which means they can basically get in the way of our being able to try and do something. So I wanted to talk about this idea of what you tell yourself going into something. That prediction of what the outcome is going to be can actually hamper your ability to move forward and learn. I would also recommend actively listening to the messages that are going on in your brain, listening to what it is that you're telling yourself. Sometimes we don't often even recognize when we're giving ourselves a limiting belief, something that we're like, oh, I could never do that, whatever it is. When we hear that, what I would say is challenge those thoughts. Actively say to yourself, you know what, I could try that thing and get better at it. And often we think about, well, we only want to try the things that we're going to be good at, but we don't know the things that we are going to enjoy, that we're going to be curious about, that we're going to actually be able to get better at until we try different things. By seeing if you like playing an instrument, if you like playing a sport, by trying those different things, we learn a lot about ourselves. And by telling ourselves that, yes, we can try it, we can see if it's for us, we'll get better, and then we'll be able to decide if it's something that we want to engage in long term. And lots of people might say, oh, but you could try and fail. But I actually disagree with the word fail in general. I think it's trying and practicing at getting better at something by taking steps forward. We don't just try something and we're naturally good at it. That doesn't often happen in this world. Often you have to work hard at it. You have to fully engage, fully work at it. That's why if you're on a basketball team, that's why you do fundamentals over and over and over again, getting your muscles to be able to do the same action over and over and over again that you've refined over time. That's why if you're in a show, a musical, they'll have you dance the numbers over and over and over again until it's in your muscle memory and you're able to do it without thinking about it. When you show up and you give it your all, each attempt will teach you something. It will help you gain additional skills in whatever it is you're doing. The more you do something, the more skills you gain, the more expertise you gain in whatever that is. So keep doing it, keep showing up, keep giving it 100%, and you'll get better at whatever it is you're doing. You may not be the best, but when you start to reframe it as, I want to be better than I was yesterday, you can see all of that forward progression and that change over time as that reaching the goal, rather than setting a goal that might be a specific outcome that you may or may not have control over. Control what it is you can, and set those goals as things that you're working on and you can take responsibility for, in that you're showing up. Also, making mistakes is one of the best ways that we can learn, because we learn what doesn't work, we learn what we've tried before, and we can try new things. We can work on getting a creative solution to something that maybe the last idea didn't work, but maybe the next one will. It helps with innovating. When you try things, they may not work, but you learn what does or what didn't. So then you can start to basically say, okay, these things don't seem to be very effective. I'm going to try out this thing instead. I wanted to leave you with a little statement of truth that my daughter, Alice, gave to us at the dinner table the other day. My daughter is 5 and she's right now learning just the beginnings of how to play video games, and we're starting her with old school stuff like Super Mario Brothers. What she told us, and this is kind of a repetition of some of the themes that we try to help her and her brother Xander understand. She said to us, when I fail, I don't get frustrated. I just try over again. And I think there's something very profound about that, is when we fail at something, when it doesn't go the way that we had hoped it would, we just try again, and we will improve over time. And as Yoda said in one of the recent Star Wars films, a great teacher failure is. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that this is a great week for you, and I will see you next week.